Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from De Bruyn Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
And good morning, everyone. What a lovely day. Let's thank God for the beautiful, beautiful Saturday we have. It's not too hot, not too cold, beautiful light breeze. This is a perfect Saturday. Get out and enjoy it. Do some yard work, do some garden work. Have a fun time. Phone lines are open, 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. And I was looking on Michigan State Extension line, and I saw that the Bee Palooza is back after a COVID break of 3 years. There is going to be an afternoon that everyone's going to be buzzing about at Michigan State. The entomology department at Michigan State University holds it is going to be on Sunday, August 13, from 1 to 4. And it's going to be at the MSU Horticultural Gardens on 1066 Bogue Street in East Lansing, right on the campus there. It is a free event where everyone can become a bee or can be a scientist. And they're going to talk about all the different pollinators. They've got people that, gardening people, they've got pollinator people, they've got bee people, they got all kinds of people there to talk to. They usually have like face painting, and they've got a quiz going on during the thing. There's activities, and you can practice your waggle dance after you've had your face painted like a bee. It's going to be fun. I went to it 1 year and I had a blast, and there's always a couple entomologists on hand that will answer all of your questions about pollinators. And then you're going to actually look at what pollen looks like to a bee. It's going to be kind of interesting. Parking is free on campus on the weekend, and there is accessible entrances to the garden on the from the east and the west parking lot. So that is Sunday, August 13, from 1 to 4 p.m. You're going to learn all about pollinators. It is a fun time. I didn't think I would like it when I went 1 year, and I had a ball. So, plan on attending. Bring the kids. It'll be a fun event for them, too. So, remember, Sunday, August 13, from 1 to 4. You can get to church in the morning and still get out to East Lansing to go to the Bee Palooza. All right, so that's about it that was going on for events that I was looking at. You really got to search the MSU Extension, go to MSU Extension and go to events, and you'll find a lot of different, lectures and talks that they give that are usually free. Usually can do it online. And on almost every subject. I mean, if you want to learn about, how to make a pasture for some cows or llamas, they'll probably have a lecture on that. So, just just kind of scroll around. You can Google what you're interested in, like, say, llamas. They would probably bring up quite a few. So, just kind of stroll around. I have... MSU Extension is a wonderful, wonderful thing that we have in this state. Not every state has something like that, so let's just be thankful and use it, and see what you can get. So you see what you can find. There's a lot of cooking classes right now, but it's basically how to can food and how to safely can food and what you can do and how to do it. If you're interested in that, just go to MSU Extension and go under events. Okay, well, events at De Bruyn's are, everybody is calling me up. They're noticing Japanese beetles. It's like they didn't ever look at them before. I had one guy go, there's these purple beetles crawling all over my roses and my Rose of Sharon, and I went, purple, are you sure they aren't copper colored with like green head and shoulders? And he, well, maybe they are copper colored. That's a long way from purple, but he'd never seen a Japanese beetle before, and he was absolutely inundated with it. So there is a red alert right now. Go out there, check your garden and your flowers carefully. Make sure you've got them protected. You can put up a Japanese beetle trap. Make sure you put it downwind from whatever you want to go so they go into the trap. It doesn't get rid of all of them by any stretch of the imagination, and it might even get them from other places. Yes? Did you have a question?
I do have a question. What do the Japanese beetles do? Do they just eat everything?
They eat everything. You'll go out to your plants, and your plants, the leaves will look like lace because they eat. And there won't be just one. There'll be like a half a dozen on every leaf. And if you go looking around the ditches, you'll notice there's an awful lot of Japanese beetles and, unsupervised areas in the ditches. And they'll be on top of each other. There'll be so many of them in one. So it's kind of fun to watch them. Just watch what they do. Or you can, pick them off your lovely roses because, yes, that's what they look like. Had to Google it. It is copper colored, isn't it? It is not purple.
It's very copper, not even close to purple.
Yes. Okay. So they are back. So do take a look at your flowers and your garden. They love beans. They love a lot of stuff in the garden too. So and make sure that your plants are not being eaten up. There are things you can spray on it. There are things you can spray up to the day of harvest on them. They're a little harder to kill than some of the smaller things, but you still can kill them and get rid of them. Or you can sit there and pick them up and throw them in a bucket of sudsy water if you want. Pick all of them off. That's one way of getting them also. So they'll lay their eggs. They'll mate and lay their eggs in August, and they like to lay it in the lawn areas. Usually the manicured lawn areas is where they like to lay their eggs. So, then those grubs appear in the fall and the next spring. So we don't want that. So the next thing you need to do is you need to apply season-long grub control to the lawn. That stops the eggs from turning into grubs. It's a growth inhibitor for them. So the season-long grub control needs to be put down now, watered in well. You'll probably have to turn on the sprinklers. I don't think I would trust water coming from up above right now, but get that watered in. It does photodegrade in the sunshine, so make sure you do water it in well. But you need to get that down now, probably till the end of the month, and then it's probably going to be too late. But the season-long grub control does about 90% kill rate, so that's pretty good for an insecticide. So let's get that season-long grub control down. And talking about getting things down, if you haven't put some calcium around your tomatoes and peppers and squash and things like that, where you get blossom end rot, you got to do that. It's got to have calcium in those plants so they don't get blossom end rot. It's when you pick your tomatoes and you've been looking at them from up above and thinking those look wonderful, and then you pick it and you look at the bottom and it looks rotten. It'll be black. It's disgusting looking. You can heat the top. It's just the bottom that's gone, but you don't really want that on all your tomatoes because you can't give them away, and it's really hard to cook with. When you got to cut off the bottom of every tomato. So get that calcium around the plant. We have calcium, just calcium. Calcium comes in like a tomato tone and in Miracle Grow tomato food. It comes in there, and you can also spray it on your plants. So there is ways to get calcium in your plants so you don't get blossom end rot. And we have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the Garden Show.
Oh, good morning, Jan. How are you today?
I am fine. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I have a question about some lilies.
Sure.
My lilies up front it's almost like they didn't come into full, and then they started getting yellow right away, and now they have it's almost like they're rotten, and it's got like a powdery mildew on the whole
Yep.
the whole stalk of it. I mean, it's like they're dying or dead.
That is so sad. I think you just had a It was just the summer weather, I think, and then we got that rain, and that's what caused the powdery mildew. And yes, I think they probably need to be. I would cut the tops off on all of those right now. I hate to say this.
I usually cut them all the way down to all the way to the ground
Yep.
every year.
Yep, I would do
'Cause
that now.
Right now they're coming even out of the ground because they're just not even. It's like it's powdery mildew for sure, but it just was just. You don't even want it on your hands. It just gets everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
You might want to spray it first with a fungicide if the powdery mildew is that bad, and then
yeah, it is.
yeah, and then chop it off, and then I might even do a little bit of the fungicide spray, on the tops that that you can see, just to prevent that and to keep them so they will come again next year.
Yeah, because right now it looks like if I even cut them back, that some of them may even just come right out of the ground because they're that damaged. I never had any problems with these. They turned yellow right away, and then all of a sudden now it's all dead, like dead grass.
Yeah, yeah. It was heat stress earlier, and then we got too much rain, and then
That's what it was. Okay.
you can't win.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to do with them because they're looking terrible, and I'm going to really just whack them right across the ground
Yep.
like I do every year. But I didn't know if they just didn't come back nicely, and I even thought about they're overgrown anyway. Maybe just even replacing them next year and having new ones put in there because it's
It
overgrown.
might be a good
They're
idea.
little tiny lilies. They're not real big lilies.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so bad.
Well, I'm not a gardener anyway, so I don't know what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
when I saw that they're all dead, I'm thinking, okay, what's causing this now?
Yeah, it was an environmental problem this summer. So it wasn't you that did this one for a change. It's usually something I did. But yeah, I would cut them off now so it doesn't spread any further. And then in the fall, it'd probably be a good idea to dig them out.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a good rest of your weekend.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And the phone lines are open, but we're going to stop for a break in a minute or so. So maybe it might be best to wait until after the break to give us a call. But yes, this summer has been so stressful on our plants. And I've even noticed it in my bean plants that are growing fine and they're setting little flowers right now. But, the leaves sometimes they don't look good, and I know that's kind of a bean plant thing to do, but this year they just don't look as healthy as they normally do. So, and it's just stress from the weather. They don't like it. They love the hot weather. I don't know what happened there, but it was all stress. So, don't blame yourself, but just keep on top of it. Keep them fed. Make sure you've got some fertilizer around there. You might want to, if you did it earlier, you might want to do it again right now. And you might want to add some azomite to your soil. And I'll talk about that after we do this break, and we will be back, and we're talking azomite. Okay, we are back, and I promise we're going to talk about azomite right now. For your plants that aren't looking like their best, like you'd think they normally should. I've got a bunch of plants that just are not growing as fast as what I think they should. And my peppers were just looking really bad, but I discovered why they weren't looking good. It's because my cat sits on them. I'm not quite sure why, but every time I'd go over there, they'd kind of be bent over, and they really aren't growing well. So if I could get Stanley to quit sitting on them, I think they would be okay. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because there's enough room between them. I don't know why. He normally hates being anywhere near the garden, but that's the one exception. My onions are doing fine, but they just aren't as far along as what I think they should be. So now, put down fertilizer. That gives you the micronutrients and the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potash, and it might do some calcium and magnesium also, depending on what fertilizer you do. But azomite stands for A to Z of minerals, including trace elements. So it's got taking a multivitamin. You know, we all eat our food at every meal, but a lot of us do a multivitamin just in case we aren't getting the right stuff. Azomite is that right stuff. It's the minerals and the vitamins that you need. So, you know, it's not remiss to put it around right now. It's an organic thing. It comes out of a mine in Arizona or Utah, somewhere around there. It's a colloidal clay, whatever that means, but it's so high in these nutrients that you just put it around your plants, water it in. It gradually gets watered into the ground, and it will feed your plants. I usually do it once a year around my plants. I forgot to do it this spring, so I doing it right now to add it to my plants. I also add it to my house plants. I put it on everything, and we've got like 50-pound bags of it, but you don't have to get that big of a bag. We have boxes of it too, like 3-pound box, and you don't really have to measure it. I take a handful and put it around my plants outside. Inside, I just put it around on the top of the soil until it's covered, and then that's good enough. I never measure that, but you can't overdo it. You can't, oh, I'm not going to kill my plant. No, you're not going to kill your plant with this. So it is a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do, you know, when you're first putting your plants in, to maybe mix it azomite with a little fertilizer, and then, you know, put it in the hole before you plant your plants. It'd be a great idea also. But if you didn't do it then, you can do it now. When it first came out, this was years ago, it was in the spring, and I just had my pansies planted. And I love pansies, and they always turn out well by my house. And I always have big flowers, maybe 2.5 to 3 inches across. And I put some azomite by half of them, and the other half didn't get any. And the difference between sizes of those pansies was staggering. I had like 5-inch across pansies. The pansies were huge. They looked so healthy. You may not get that every year, but the first couple of years after you add azomite, you'll notice an increase, and then it gets kind of like normal.
Is there like a frequency that you're supposed to do this? Is it just kind of, you said like when
I
you
do
plant
it once a year, but
Yeah.
you know, like your vitamins, once a day. If you do it twice a day, it's probably not going to hurt you. So it's just a fun thing to do. I was so impressed with my pansies that, yeah, it's going to be bigger than that. Buttons are falling off over here, so I'll let her fix that. But it's a good thing to add to your plants right now, just to kind of get them through. Listening to the weather. And it's going to be 90 degrees out this week. So, get that stress on your plants again. Best if you have, you feel better if you got your vitamins and minerals all in you, and you're eating healthy, and you've got everything there that you need. So adding azomite, never a bad idea. You can put azomite. It first came out, they were putting it around trees when they planted trees, because the trees would really get off to a good start. And they did a lot of research on that. And it's something good to add. It's not going to replace fertilizer. You're still going to have to feed your plants, but it does help with those micronutrients that every plant needs also. They're just like us. They need all that, the zinc and all the other stuff that, you don't need it in huge amounts, but you do need some of it. So that's my thought for your garden this week, to add some azomite. You're going to have to probably add some water also, because we seem to be kind of lacking in that again. I think every one of the storms is going to go right over us and hit somewhere east of us, like it always does this time of the summer. So don't depend on rain anytime soon. That's my big advice. But yes, do that to your crops. If you do have, like some of my plants are a little bit too, I've got some zinnias that I must have planted a little too thickly. Okay, whatever. I planted them too thick. I have in the last couple of weeks sprayed them with some fungicide. I'm going to do that again just to prevent powdery mildew and all those fun diseases. We need to stop and take a break to listen to the news and whatever else that she's got over there. I'm not quite sure. So we'll be back after that happens. Okay, we're back. Wake up, Jan. Let's do the show. Okay, we were talking about we all miss Patty here. Wish she was back here, but Patty, hope you're having a ball on being retired. We all miss you here, though. We're going to talk about what's going on. Well, we've still been talking about what's going on at DeBrine's. If you want to do a fall garden, we need to get your Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, those seeds need to go in the ground now so they'll be ready in the fall. So if you want to do some fall broccoli or cabbage, little Brussels sprouts, they need to go in the ground now. The rest of the stuff can wait for a little bit till mid-August or so, and that would be like spinach and kale and peas and lettuce. That would go in mid to end of August for a fall plant. They don't need quite as much time as the rest of that stuff. The advantage to a fall garden, you don't have the insects that you have in the summer. It has a whole different feeling to do a fall garden than it is to do a summer garden. You're not going to get as much as far as yields on anything, and it all depends on when the first frost is too. But I always do peas. I'm always pulling out my beans by then, and there's always a spot. So I put in peas every year in the fall. I love doing peas. It just reminds me of spring. So anything's good that reminds me of spring rather than fall and winter coming. So if you want to do that garden, get over to DeBrine's now and let's pick up some seeds and let's get them in, get them ready to go. It's a fun thing to do. So let's remember that. Get out there also and deadhead things in your garden and in your landscape areas and your annual plants. If you get out there and you pull off the dead flowers, the plant won't work on trying to get rid of them. It'll send more energy to making new flowers. So the more flowers that you pinch off, like on your geraniums or marigolds or whatever you've got, the more new flowers you will get. So keep that in mind. Get out there. I like to do that while I'm walking around with Stanley in the garden. He loves his flowers, just like his green beans. But yes, get out there and do that. If your lawn needs to be dethatched, this is the time of year to do it. You can rent a dethatcher and get all of that thatch out of there. It would look like a hayfield once you're done, and then you got to rake it all out. But it does really help your lawn, helps get, the fertilizer and water doesn't get down to the ground if you've got that layer of thatch there. So check your lawn if you need to do it. It's one thing I'm going to say you got to do now, folks. This is the time of year into the end of August is dethatching lawn time. So again, check it, see if you need to do it. If you don't need to do it, that's fine. You don't have to do it. The weed of the week where we're seeing is, oh my goodness, it's name a bunch of them, but crabgrass right now and nutgrass. Those are the two weeds of the week. They're the stars of the week at DeBrine's. People come in and they think they've got the quack grass all the time, and they come in with a pitcher or a sample of the weed, and it's usually crabgrass. We don't see a lot of quackgrass up here. Quackgrass grows up straight, and it's most known for, if you pull it out of the garden, it's got white roots, and it will send out roots, and you get more of these all over the place. But it grows up straight. Crabgrass kind of flattens out into a rose. I kind of think of it as a little crab. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Maybe that's where it got the name, because it kind of falls out, and it's got little arms that go out. and you think you can mow over it, but it just goes flat and you can't mow it down. So you need to get rid of it before it sends out a gazillion seeds per plant. So let's get out there and let's mow. Let's get out there and kill the crabgrass. I walk around. I usually get crabgrass right by the road because the tires kind of get the seeds over there, and maybe the sprinklers don't quite hit it as well as it should. I walk around there. I have this 1.1 gallon of crabgrass destroyer. I love that stuff. Just go around there and spray. Yes?
Now, just a question about crabgrass. My parents' house here in Holland, the very frontmost part of the yard that's by the road is just full of crabgrass.
Yes.
Do you just have to pick it out at that point? Do you kill it? How do you?
I just kill it.
Okay.
The crabgrass destroyer makes it turn white, so it's kind of a funky looking little sight because all of it's white, and then it just kind of disappears. But if you do it before it sends out its seeds, that's best. Otherwise, you're going to have a gazillion seeds in your lawn because every one of those little arms that come out has 3 or 4 little things that come out with seeds on them. So we don't want that to happen, and it happens quick, and it will happen really quick next week when it's 90 degrees out. All of a sudden, that little tiny crabgrass will be huge crabgrass that's harder to kill, and you really can't spray the lawn when it's 90 degrees out because you're probably, well, I don't care if I hurt the crabgrass. That doesn't make any sense to me. But, yes, the rest of the lawn you really can't spray when it's 90 degrees. But, yeah, that crabgrass, it might be littler now. Get it before it gets big. I have, before work, I've got it right in the garage on the bench, and I just pick it up, and I walk around the front yard. I kind of do a patrol and just kind of spray all of those weeds. I've got the little handle that's got a little battery in it. And I just push a button and it squirts out the stuff. So it couldn't be any easier. It's so easy. It's almost probably pretty pathetic. But I loved doing that and walking around the front yard looking for whatever I can kill with my crabgrass destroyer. And by the way, the crabgrass destroyer, it doesn't say this on the label, so it's an off-label use, so you didn't hear it here. It does also kill Bermuda grass. It can't be used on a Bermuda grass lawn because it will kill it. So if you're having problems with Bermuda grass, and I know a lot of people are, and I know we do have a Bermuda grass killer that's got, I can't remember what it's got in it, but it will do the job, but you got to keep doing it like every 2 weeks all summer long. Crabgrass destroyer is going to do a lot better job on your Bermuda grass. So if you see some Bermuda grass on your lawn, hey, run over to DeBrine's and get the crabgrass destroyer. We've got the Scott's puts this out, and this year they decided, or maybe they couldn't get the right chemical to use. I think it's mesotrione, I think is what's in there. I'm not quite sure. But they didn't make it this year. But we knew about it. They told us last fall already. So we bought everything that was in the warehouse. So we've got crabgrass destroyer. So don't worry about it. I think they're going to make it again next year, but there's just like a 1 year off that they did it. But we still got it. And it is wonderful stuff. So it's not going to get the nut grass that comes up, but it does do a good job on almost everything. It will actually kill nimblewill also. So if you've got that kind of forms those mats on the ground. That's horrible stuff. But the crabgrass destroyer will actually kill that too. So it's kind of nice to have all this stuff at our fingertips that we can use for our own purpose. Thankfully, we still have that. We need to stop and take a break so I can get a glass of water, and Arlo can play some commercials, but we'll be back with the garden show after that. And we are back. I've been talking basically about what people have come in to talk about when they've been coming into DeBrine's. And I will say this has been the summer where the nuisance problems have been animals. We have never sold this many live traps for groundhogs, raccoons, voles, whatever you've got in your backyard. We have set so many traps out for those things, and people come back, go, hey, I got 3 possums and I got 12 groundhogs, and it's absolutely amazing what they're coming back with. So possums are good. I like possums. They actually eat ticks. They cannot carry rabies, and they do not get rabies. So that's a good thing. Skunks and raccoons can carry rabies. And I always think if they're too close to us, there's something wrong with them. And I'm always a little worried about that sort of thing. So if you can kind of remove them from your backyard. There are pest agencies that do get rid of your mammals that are a pain in your backyard. But I'm always, they've got young with them right now, so it might not be the best time to get rid of them. I hate getting a mother raccoon and leaving a bunch of babies to die. That's not good, but it's best to get them out of there before they start digging up your lawn in the fall. So the voles, those little tiny mice, and there has been an explosion of them around the area. Everybody's got some in their backyard and their landscaped areas, and even into the lawn. You can put out live traps. You can put out snap traps. We've got all kinds of traps for voles. The problem is they don't live like chipmunks live by themselves. You don't get 5 chipmunks, cohabitating in a little burrow. The voles do. They live in large groups, so it's really hard to trap them. And I noticed that we've got the new animal repellent called Plant Skid. It comes from Canada by way of Sweden or some Norwegian country. And it's an organic, and it's Omni rated. It's Omni approved, so you can use it in your organic garden. You can put this around your garden. You can put this to keep out rabbits, and deer. And I will guarantee you it does smell horrible. But it's got all organic material. It's got dried blood and stuff like that. But it stinks. It's not a fun thing to do. But if you put this around your landscape beds, and even in your landscape beds, the voles hate it. They will pack up and get on out of there. So this might be, your answer where you don't have to put down traps, you don't have to put down poison. All you have to do is put Plant Skid around the areas where you've got moles. They will leave. They did all this experimenting on it. Voles are like a huge thing on the label. So if you have a vole problem, come on in and get the Plant Skid. It comes in granular or liquid. I've been using the granular, and it's always good to change up your whatever you're using for your animal repellents. If you've always used liquid fence, it's kind of nice to put something else down, because otherwise I think sometimes they get used to what we use and they think it's just salad dressing that we're putting on our plant, and they just eat more of it. So it's best to, kind of rotate what you're using. If you always use the kind of garlicky thing of liquid fence, maybe it's now time to go to Plant Skid or something else. We've got different types of things, or hot pepper. So go to something different. It might be a good thing to, because then they go, oh, what in the world are they doing now? So yes, and I will admit, I had a lady come in and she said, I've been spraying with liquid fence. She goes, and they eat it more. And I had that already, where you keep spraying, your bean plants or whatever, and the more you spray, the more they eat. And so honestly, I thought it was salad dressing at one point in time, and they liked it even more. So I'm doing the Plant Skid, and I don't have any problems except for the cat around my beans. And for some reason, he doesn't mind it, but he's just kind of an odd thing anyway. So, sometimes I don't think he's a normal animal. He's weird. He will get in a corner in the house and not figure out how in the world he got there and can't get out. Like he got behind the couch or whatever. And then he's stuck there and then he cries and then I got to get him out. It is so odd. I've never had an animal that I don't know, maybe he was a birth defect or something. Maybe the brain didn't get fully developed on him. But yeah, he is a little character. So yes, get rid of those little things. I've got chipmunks coming out of my ears at my house, so I have been trapping those. I'm not the nice person that traps them and puts them somewhere else. I am the mean person that traps them and they're dead. I'm sorry, they do so much damage. They can burrow under your house, under the barn, under a shed. They can do so much damage, and they are little rodents and they do like to chew. So, you're going to have a problem with them if you see one. And I know my neighbors all feed them, and they even come to DeBrine's to pick up peanuts for them. And I'm killing them. So I don't know. I just think I cannot ever get rid of all of them. So maybe there'll be plenty for them to share.
They are rodents, so I think there's always going to be. Don't feel too bad.
Yeah, okay.
There's always going to be more.
There's always more. My goodness, you think, I've caught 5 of them. There can't be that many more around my backyard. And then they show up in my front yard. And I don't know what's going on with those guys. But yes, let's get rid of those. And I don't know why they always want to live at my house. They eat at everybody else's house. Do they stay there? No, they come over to my house. Yeah, I don't like that. They've chewed up. I had a welcome mat to just rub your boots on or whatever before you walked in the house. They chewed that up to pieces. I have not a clue why. They would just sit there. I would watch them from inside the house, and they would just be sitting there chewing on it. And
maybe they have a personal grudge against you, and they don't want you to feel welcomed home.
Maybe that's it. They just sit on my porch and look at me and laugh. So that's it. You're not going to stay. But if you do want to live trap them, we do have a thing at DeBrine's that will tell you the best thing to put in the trap for them. Like, for instance, if you see a flying squirrel in your house, a red rubber ball is a wonderful thing to put in the trap to get them out. Then you can bring them out of your house. I had a friend that thought she had a flying squirrel in her house last week, and it turned out she had a possum. I don't know how a possum got in her house, but she had, and it wasn't a big one, so it was kind of a smaller possum, but how in the world? I don't know. She only came out at night, and it was driving her crazy. Ken and I went over there, and we caught the thing for her. We just left a trap there and overnight, and we got it. But yes, you never know what's going to be in your house or out of your house. I have no idea how they get in, but they seem to get in. They find a way. So if you've got rodents that are coming in, you might want to use the rodent stopper, spray that around your house to keep them out. I don't know why they'd want to come in the house this time of year. Their food is basically outside this time of year, and there's plenty of it. So, go outside. But before fall, when the little mice want to come inside with you, make sure you've got the rodent stopper sprayed around and you've got some traps set up, because otherwise they're going to be inside with you all winter long, and they're going to look for whatever they can find to eat. So unless you've got everything in steel containers with tight-fitting lids, you're going to have those little guys. So and again, that's a topic for another couple months from now. When it gets cooler out at night, that's when they start marching in. Along with, right now, the things that are marching in are basically ants. We've got some good sprays for those. You can spray around the house, do a perimeter around the house. I all of a sudden had all these ants in the house, and what in the world were they? And I haven't sprayed around the house in quite quite a while. So once I sprayed around the house, within a couple of days, I really didn't have any ants anymore. So doing that perimeter around the house really makes a difference. And make sure you go around the house and make sure you don't have bushes or any of your shrubs or flowers that are touching the house. And even in trees that are touching the roof of the house, that is a way where they go. It's like a little street where they go up and over and right in your house. So you don't want that. So make sure you've got everything trimmed like at least 4 inches away from the house. So this is a good time of year when everything's at its biggest and bushiest. And you might think, well, it might not be the best time to trim these things, but you really got to get it away from the house so you don't get insects or rodents coming over it and in the house. So that's a good job for this week. It's not too strenuous of a job unless you have an absolutely huge house, but go around with the little loppers and get rid of all of that stuff that's going on the house. It's not good for the house anyway, so let's get rid of it. Poison ivy, we've had a lot of people coming in with poison ivy questions. They've got pictures of plants, and is this poison ivy? Is this poison ivy? I really can be. I'm a good poison ivy person, and I think I've taught the guys now what they look for poison ivy. Poison ivy, it's always a leaf of 3, but you have to remember that the 2 bottom leaves are going to come out opposite of each other on the little stem, and they're going to have little tiny short stems. And they've got, it could be a lobed, it could be plain edge, it doesn't really matter. But that 3rd leaf that comes out the top is going to have a stem that is at least 2 to 3 times as long as the 2 lower stems are. So always look for that leaf. Yes?
Is it also true that when the plants are young that they're like purpley red sometimes?
They can be. It's really hard to tell, like, this is always going to be this way and it's always going to be this way. The only thing that's always going to be is the 2 bottom leaves on the little thing of 3 are going to have short little stems, and that top one's going to have a lot longer stem. And we had one lady that came in with some beautiful pictures of some things. She didn't know whether it was poison ivy or not. And I taught the guys, so hopefully they've got it down. We know what we have to spray it with. You need something that's the shrub killer, brush killer. That's what you need. It's not regular weed killer that you need on those stuff, but we can help you at DeBrine's. And she's waving signs at me, so I have to tell you very quickly, I'll be back here Tuesday morning at 8:35, and then again at 10 to 11 for Talk of the Town. But I will be back here next Saturday at 11:05 with the Garden Show. And until then, go green.
Go white.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from DeBrine Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.